king and queen of America. Yeah, it's the king of nothing.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora and from me. Unfortunately, Mickey and Aurora are on the opposite end of the camera. They are at the foot of the bed and I can't have them closer because it would ruin the filming. So sorry about that. But they are both at my feet. Well, Mickey is at my left foot and Aurora is to Mickey's left. So because they can't be near my right side. So we plunge in with what Low-Key Lowell says. And hopefully we're going to have a little bit of fun today. What did the dogs do when you arrived home? So glad you're finally home. Quite frankly, I'm very glad I'm home too. Although it has to be said, if I had to have the horrendous experience that I did anywhere, the best place to have had it was at King Edward VII's Hospital, because they could not have been nicer, kinder, more decent, more professional, more attentive. I can't sing their praises highly enough. And what did the dogs do? Well, I warned Misha and Mirek, a Polish friend who's here to take care of me and has been very kind and generous in offering to take care of me, because I have to be shadowed with practically everything I do. Not everything. For that, more feminine things, I have some nurses who come in every single day to take care of me. But otherwise, Mirek, Misha, and my son Dima. So I warned Misha and Mirek that the girls could not come near me because I couldn't have them jumping up on me, because I have not trained them to not jump. I have always allowed them to jump, and I have always allowed them to be as loving as their natures require them to be, because of course they're love machines and I love their love, but not in this instance. And as the lift reached the third floor, there were Mickey and Aurora ready and waiting to pounce. And I rather hysterically had to shriek, no, they can't. And so they held them. And after I was wheeled into my bedroom, then the girls came and joined me. And Aurora has taken a few days to get used to the fact, because she's always jumped upon me and she can't jump upon me anymore. So I think she's got the hang of it now. But I mean, you know, it's her whole life she's been allowed to jump upon me, and now she can't. So, but it's a joy having them, and now that they're not endangering my health, everything is copacetic, as the Jamaicans would put it. Wilbur D says, Dear Lady C, I'm sorry to hear that you have had a rotten day. That would have been yesterday. Thank you for still working hard to put together a great video. An awful lot of people thought it was very good. 1 or 2 people actually recommended that I make sure that I'm in a temper the next video that I do. I loved it. Thank you so much. Talking of great videos, you are the star of Netflix's new trailer. Their interview with you obviously didn't go well from your point of view from the trailer, but the comments below the trailer sing your praises, and I think you look amazing in it. sending you lots of love. Wilbur D, thank you very much for that. I had no idea until you posted this, and then it started to flash up on my Google, whatever it is, and one or two other people posted as well. Yes, it's Murder in Monaco. It's the story of Edmund Saffra's death in December 1999. And evidently Netflix did something on it. I have to say, I'm drawing pretty much a blank. At the moment, I'm definitely not functioning on all cylinders. And I definitely don't remember things that I should. But I have only the vaguest of recollections of having done that. I don't even know through whom I did it. I spoke to my agent and he said it wasn't through him. So I can only imagine it would have been through Mike Griffiths, who was the lawyer in the case. And to those of you who don't know what we're speaking about, Murder in Monaco is about the murder of Edmund Saffra. And who exactly murdered him and why. And it needs to be said that he murdered the nurse before he asphyxiated. So I don't know why I'm so cheesed off in the trailer. I certainly wouldn't have expected them to use it, but they did. And several of the comments say they've got to watch it because I'm in it, which I find very, very flattering. I'm going to watch it because I think it's very interesting. But as to my contribution, I have absolutely no idea beyond the fact that I wrote the book Empress Bianca, which Lily Saffra said was a roman à clef written by me about how she had murdered two of the husbands she denied having murdered, Freddie Monteverdi and Edmund Saffra. Well, Murder in Monaco is about the second of those murders. And I have absolutely no doubt that Lily Saffra had blood on her hands, that she and Edmund Saffra organized the murder of Freddie Monteverdi in, I think it was 1968. And that then, in 1999, by which time Edmund Saffra had Parkinson's, was living like a hermit. Lily did not want to live like a hermit. She had great social ambitions. She wanted to become the Empress of international cafe society. She hoped that as a very rich widow, she would be able to nab a royal prince or a high-ranking duke. And it is my belief, as a result of having heard what her sister-in-law, Rosita Fanto, who was Freddie Monteverdi's sister, said about his murder, that she and Edmund Saffra were up to hair in it. And then, when Edmund Saffra got ill and inconvenient, she stood down all of the security guards for the day that he ended up dying. Talk about convenient timing. And anyway, I wrote the book Empress Bianca. fully aware of the fact that Lily Saffra would try to get it shut down. But unfortunately for her, a distant cousin of my father's had murdered two of her lovers and got away with it. And there were sufficient analogies between the two cases for me to interweave them, so that as and when Lily Saffra decided she was going to play the legal card, I would have a legal rebuttal, which sure enough I did. She identified herself as the central figure in the book. I did not accuse her of being Empress Bianca. I did not accuse her of killing either of the husbands, whom I have no doubt she killed, or had a hand in their murders, to put it more accurately. I knew this because I was friendly with Christina Fanto, Rosita Fanto's daughter, and Christina was the niece of Freddie Monteverdi. And Christina is the one who originally helped me and then organized for her mother to help me. And then Joseph Saffra, Edmund Saffra's brother, got involved when he heard I was writing the book. And notwithstanding the fact that I was going to accuse his brother of having helped to murder Freddie Monteverdi, he assisted me in nailing Lily. And it's thanks primarily to Dominic Dunne, not to me, to Dominic Dunne, who picked up the cudgel in Vanity Fair and wrote several features on it. He wrote 3 on Empress Bianca alone. Graydon Carter evidently got royally cheesed off because, of course, the owners were getting heat from Lily's people. They had much in common. They had support for similar objectives, nationally, internationally. They were all members of the Billionaires Club, and they were all very aware of a duty of care and loyalty to the state of Israel. And so that's really how it happened. And Lily got the book pulped because her lawyer threatened my publisher, who's dead now, but he was a wonderful, wonderful person. And he had to pulp the book because she got her lawyer, Anthony Julius, to threaten to bury him in paperwork and litigation. And so he had no choice but to pulp the book. So what did I do? I sued her for tortious interference with my publishing contract and defamation. She didn't expect that one. Nothing like being in the right and knowing that the one thing that you have in your favor is that somebody's not only guilty of sin, but will never dare to step into a witness box. And of course then, the pulped book, we sort of did a little massage and we threw her a few crumbs and changed 1 or 2 of the details, but substance didn't change at all. And we simply republished it. Same title, same everything. And I'm very proud of the fact that Dominic Isabel Vincent, who then wrote another book on Freddie Monteverdi's murder, and whom Lily buried in Brazil But Isabel also wrote a very good book on the Saffra murder, the Monteverdi murder by Saffra and Lily. And Lily threw a whole load of money to get it buried in Brazil and elsewhere. But primarily Dominic and I are the ones who made sure that every single door of any consequence socially in this country was slammed in her face. I won't tell you how I did it, but I did it with the cooperation of members of the royal family. Let's leave it at that. Wales Forever says, Lady C, did you find Prince William's gesture of affection towards Princess Catherine as touching as I did? Sweet. Yes, I thought it was very sweet. As they were pulling up to the 90s Royal Variety performance at the Royal Albert Hall, he grabbed her hand and kissed it. Sweet. Really very sweet. Don't you think? It's so nice to see a good marriage in operation, especially after their sister-in-law went to such lengths to make the point that her marriage was based on true love. Now, 1 million true loves, 2 billion true loves, 3 billion true loves, 4 billion true loves, while theirs was based on opportunism and convenience. Do you remember all of that? All the lies that emanated from the launch of Soho House at The Hague? And of course, the message was William and Catherine are nowhere near as much in love as Meghan and Harry. And William and Catherine do not have as solid a marriage as Meghan and Harry. And therefore, William and Catherine don't deserve to be king and queen as much as Meghan and Harry deserve to be king and queen. And they should be and must become king and queen. I tell you, when you're dealing with delusion, when you're dealing with folie à deux, when you're dealing with ignorance, arrogance, impertinence, and stupidity, anything is possible, at least to rephrase it. Any narrative is possible, even if the narrative doesn't materialize into fact. Uranium Cafe Vintage, some of these names, says, I'm so sorry things are bad for you today. Well, they're better today, thank you. You've certainly been through enough hell for one lifetime. Thank you. I'd agree, but clearly the universe doesn't necessarily sing from the same hymn sheet. I wanted to get your insight as an expert on fashion, the magazines, press, and of course the dastardly duo. Fashion magazines take months to put together articles, sometimes 6 months ahead of publication. Or am I mistaken? No, you're not mistaken. They work months in advance. Not necessarily 6 months, but they do work months in advance. I assumed this article with Harpers and Nutmeg had been in the works since summer. May I interject at this point and make the point that they have all claimed that it's been in the works for 5 years? That tells me it's a bit of a rush job. Don't know what it tells you. Gratuitous. Maybe 5 years ago it was floated, but it sank. Do you know why it sank? because Megsy Baby wanted Vogue. Megsy Baby did not want Harpers, but we'll get to that in a moment. I assumed this article with Harpers and Nutmeg had been in the works since summer, but I believe it mentions last month's bought awards, etc. How was this article done up so quickly, and more importantly, why? It's being said that Harper's Bazaar made her look foolish in it, but writing that she looks like a college girl and other rot doesn't convince me. Does she have any hold over Harper's Bazaar now? Harper's Bazaar has often been the second stringer, with Vogue being the primary. There have been times when things flipped in the 60s and 70s, but that's basically been the rule of thumb. Meghan has aimed, I am told, for Vogue for some considerable length of time, and only when she realized that she was going to get a Vogue when I get apples growing on my lilac trees did they make the approach to Harper's. And Harper's jumped at the opportunity. To such an extent that they have cobbled something together with very late inclusions. Now, it has to be said, because of course I'm a part of the publishing world, so I know how these things work. If something is important enough, they hold the presses, so to speak, till the 99th hour. It's not ideal. It's much better to have things with a good 3 to 6 months lead in line. But if it is necessary, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable. I just need to get a bit more comfortable, sorry. If it is necessary to crash things, they will do it. They've crashed books for me. They've crashed newspaper and magazine articles for me. So why wouldn't they crash them for Megsy Baby? And they have crashed it for Megsy Baby. The article which I have read, and I think it is in the genre of Alison P. Davis's The Cut. Do you remember The Cut? Alison P. Davis was put on forcible leave for having dared to quote Meghan and to accurately describe hustler Megsy Baby and make Megsy Baby appear exactly as she is. And in those days, Megsy Baby has still had enough influence to get her punished. I wonder if Caitlin Greenidge is going to get punished. I suspect not. Caitlin Greenidge has done a variation on what Alison P. Davis did in The Cut. She has accurately reported matters in such a way that Megsy Baby hangs herself with her every word and deed. She has also done what Alison P. Davis did when Meghan isn't hanging herself with that long lying tongue of hers. She is hanging herself with her poses and her postures and her misguided view of herself. Megsy Baby fancies herself a Catherine Wales. She thinks she has a glorious clothes horse figure when she has a jackass figure for clothes. She has been going for a more natural look. So not only does she have the no makeup look, which doesn't suit her because her features are not sufficiently regular. For instance, she has a slight cross eye, which when she's made up in a certain way, it's not apparent. But if she's not made up in a certain way, it's very obvious. She also simply doesn't have a good enough features to have the no makeup look. She's a very attractive woman when she pulls out all the stops physically. She is attractive. She may not have a good model's figure, but she's slender and she's slight. And if she would choose clothes that suited her, she'd look good in them. The fact that she thinks that she is an ectomorph when she is quite frankly the absolute opposite. I mean, she has a boxy torso and chicken feet and scrawny arms, which can be attractive with the right clothing, just not with how she does it. And but they have her featured in our various poses, but the real giveaway is the reportage. And Megsy Baby hangs herself in several ways. First of all, she can't resist the solecism of having herself announced when she is in the role of hostess. Now, I think it's a well accepted fact that I know sufficient about being a hostess to know that no hostess has herself announced. A guest is announced to a hostess, if anybody is going to be announced at all. Megsy Baby is trying to replicate the royal way, and as with everything else, she gets it wrong. Can you imagine Tony Blair going in to see the Queen and Paul Wybrew saying, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. But Megsy Baby is announced as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. First of all, she's not Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. She's the Duchess of Sussex, at least at the moment. So that's just one of the things. Then she chooses to have two meeting points. One is in the Polo Lounge in Hollywood. And the other is I gather it might be Mission Nunu's house. But anyway, whoever's house it is, she's borrowed somebody's house. But in the Polo Lounge, they are in the seats of extreme prominence because Meghan is showing off yet again. The article, the interview, has Meghan yet again confirming and affirming what a busy bee she is, what a workaholic, what a wonderful person, warm, compassionate, kind, but always working. And then she makes the most pretentious claims, such as she wants her children to grow up knowing the value of being brave. And how are they going to be taught that? Well, because they have seen her stirring jam on the stove in Montecito. And now they know that all that jam that Megsy Baby has stirred is flooding the world's market and making Megsy Baby a billionairess. She says that she's not in the pursuit of perfection. No, I'll tell you what pursuit she's in. It's the pursuit of the ratification of her superiority. She has to be the best dressed, the brightest, the kindest, the nicest, the most talented, the most warm-hearted, the most everything. Megsy Baby is tiresomely competitive. Then she commits yet again one of the greatest solecisms that any woman who's married to a devoted man can commit. She says that Harry loves her so boldly, he loves her so much. Oh, and then she puts the boot in, that there's a childlike wonder and playfulness about him. And Caitlin Greenidge quotes it all. As Meghan, a boastful Meghan, is saying, I have a prince under my thumb. He worships at my altar. I have his children being trained to be brave, following my example of turning a pot of jam into a multi-billion product line. When she's telling Caitlin Greenidge about how much Harry loves her, she clutches her chest dramatically. Because it's so heartfelt. Touchy, touchy, feely, feely. Then she has Serena Williams and Kelly something Jagfan or something, whatever her name is, who's had a very tragic story to tell because her son died, which is terrible. And evidently they are such great friends of Meghan's that they have to participate in the game of how great she is, how great she is. We all stand by in awesome wonder as we look at Megsy Baby, showing us how superior she is. I think you got the point. I actually, in this interview, realized that Meghan reminds me of a former assistant I had, who is a dyed-in-the-wool sociopath and vicious, spiteful, nasty creature who will tell any lie and play any game to advance, and I'm not going to say which gender it is, themselves, and will do anything for attention because they are so compulsively competitive. They have to be superior to everybody, including themselves, when in fact they are very, very much inadequate in many ways, starting with the truth. Then, of course, because this was also, this being the article, was coinciding with Meghan's coup at Balenciaga. Remember the coup that went so wrong? Because Polo Piccoli let the cat out of the bag and said that no, they did not ask Megxie Baby. She asked herself. So Megxie Baby has to get ahead of the lies she had originally planted and says, I was so excited for him. I reached out and I said, happy to come and support you. We kept it a secret and it was really fun. I think we should end this little bit by saying, next time Megxie Baby goes into the lavatory, maybe she will have the attendant saying, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is going to deliver a load. Let's hope she isn't so thorough that she disappears off the face of this earth without trace. Sandra Donnelly says, what about Harry going back to Canada in December to give a speech on housing? It seems that the king is no longer anything to do with Canada. Well, that's not true. The king was just in Canada the other day. And Buckingham Palace has made it absolutely clear that they had no input with or from anybody about Harry's visit to Canada. But Harry is going to be the keynote speaker at a paid, everything with Harry and Meghan seems to be paid. Even their awards, even their appearances, even when she was on the Forbes thingy-me-bobby, she had to pay to be on that. So, all the awards, all the this, all the that, they pay for. Well, is he being paid to be the keynote speaker because everybody else is paying? It's £270 a head for estate agents in Canada. Harry is now an expert on the housing crisis, notwithstanding the fact that he's lived in grace and favour houses for the whole of his life, until recently. And there are going to be 450 property professionals to whom he will be lecturing from his vantage point of knowledge, about service and leadership to the Ontario Real Estate Association powerhouse in Toronto. According to organisers, at the Hilton on the 1st of December, the man who still hangs on to the title prince for the moment, otherwise known as a humanitarian, mental health advocate, Ayahuasca, ayahuasca, ayahuasca. Doria, bring me some weed. I need the windshield wipers to clear the fog. If I'm not doped up, I'm a dope. When I'm doped up, I'm no longer a dope. I'm just doped up. He's an environmentalist and a military combat veteran. Oh, is he? My goodness, Bunker Harry, a combat veteran? What combat was he involved in? I just asked that question for what it's worth. I didn't know that playing the dipstick in a bunker, qualified as military combat. Oh, I forgot. There are was it 75 or 75,000 chess pieces that he removed? According to them, Harry aims to create a positive and lasting change for communities and the planet, particularly in advancing conversations around resilience and healing. What the hell does that mean? Healing what? Resilience for what? I mean, all these vague BS terms that Harry and Meghan come up with, casting a wide net so that they can pontificate, speaking from the orifices upon which I am sitting, shooting forth crap. And we are supposed to be moved? Well, we're not, but it's really interesting that there are still schlumps in organizations such as the Ontario Real Estate Association, which are prepared to subsidize that dolt to the extent that he will stand up and chat rubbish to them. Platitude after platitude after platitude. Harry and Meghan do have a story to tell, and the story isn't how they can teach us to improve our lives. It's how we can learn from them, how people who are given privilege without humility, access without understanding, opportunity without the counterweight of conscience and responsibility, will bugger it up royally, as the king would put it. I quote the king, bugger it up royally. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what ground we should be covering. Thank you so much. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and you're not going to believe it. I don't remember it again. It's unbelievable. It's not purge, it's something like that. Surge. Sorry. I'm sorry. And all of you have been kind enough to tell me what it is. It just, as you can see, I do have lacunae. I'm sure the drugs have something to do with it. Well, I at least am aware of the fact that the drugs do affect my performance. I wonder if other people are similarly aware of the fact that drugs do affect their performance. And while my powers of reason and logic are not affected, certainly my memory is. And they display at every turn that their powers of logic and reason are not only affected, but completely chucked to one side, along with anything that I would regard, and hopefully you would regard, as responsibility. And let's just leave it at that. Godspeed. Bye-bye.